Hello, my name is Matthew, and for the month of July, Steve Donahue and I are reading Marvels by Kurt Busiek and illustrated by Alex Ross. This is for our little book club, and it's a four-part series, and we're reading one part each week. This week we read the first part, and this is now the second graphic novel that I've read that was illustrated by Alex Ross. The first one was this one, Kingdom Come, and the artwork, the artistry, the mastery of Alex Ross's paintings. The artwork is just phenomenal and on a completely different level than I've seen in comic book artwork. Typically, I've seen comic book covers that would look like this, that would look like these amazing oil paintings, but then you would open it up and all the panels would have that distinctive comic book style, even if there would be different kinds of styles, but it would look like a comic book. With Alex Ross, the quality of the cover continues through every panel, every page, every whole spread. It's just magnificent. And no surprise, reading Marvels, my first impression is just being so taken aback by the quality, just the amazing artistry in this comic. I took the dust jacket off so I could read it more conveniently, and I love this naked hardcover. It's black, it has this red, just simply says Marvels. It looks like an occult holy book or something. And in Steve's announcement video, he did talk a little bit about the actual story. I knew nothing. And kind of similar to Avengers Forever, which was a graphic novel by DC that was a love letter to the whole continuity of the DC universe and the whole of DC's publication run. Marvels is going to be the story of, it's going to be the origin story of the Marvel world. So this divide, this demarcation between a world without superheroes and then the moment superheroes are introduced into the world and how that changes. And it's told from the perspective of a journalist, which I thought was interesting because the other Alex Ross illustrated graphic novel, Kingdom Come, we also follow along with this outside street level character that gives us a perspective, it gives us a human perspective of these superhuman characters. And the opening page of this does not disappoint. Just incredible. Look at that. It's a little curious after reading it because Spider-Man and the Green Goblin are not in the first quarter of this graphic novel, but we do have this flaming hand, that amazing flaming hand. And look, just a man ablaze. We learn about this scientist, and I am obviously incredibly impressed by the quality of the artwork. The actual story, which is great, is also confusing for someone that maybe doesn't know all of the nuanced history of Marvel. My understanding is that the Human Torch uh, was part of the Fantastic Four and was, I believe, the Invisible Woman's, who would be Sue Richards' brother. So the Invisible Woman and the Human Torch are siblings. The Invisible Woman is married to Mr. Fantastic, Reed Richards, and then Reed Richards' lifelong old friend. I can't remember his name, but the Thing. And they go up in a rocket ship. There's some sort of radiation. They all come back to Earth, and now they all have these different superpowers. That was my understanding. And now it seems like the very first superhero that comes onto stage in the Marvel world is this Flaming Man. And I don't know if, even though it has the same name, I don't know if it's the same character, if it's the same Human Torch that is depicted in the Fantastic Four. It's also curious that it's as if he was either built or sustained in a laboratory, and we have this scientist that one day is going to make this grand unveiling of a man that is on fire, which is amazing. It doesn't make much sense because this person needs oxygen in order to ignite. And at one point, after the Human Torch makes such a spectacle, he needs to be effectively imprisoned. And the way that he is contained is that he is deprived of oxygen, which is confusing because it doesn't seem, although it stops him from being on fire, it also doesn't kill him. So he doesn't need oxygen to live. Let's see. We're set in the 1940s, late 1930s. World War II is going on. There's Hitler, and Europe is fighting the Nazis. We're in New York City with young journalists. Our main reporter that we follow along, at first when we meet him, has these aspirations of going to Europe and making a name for himself as a war reporter. And after the appearance of the Human Torch, it totally changes his worldview, his priority, negatively impacts his life and his relationships. He was engaged to a woman, and the beginning of this portion has a quote from Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, and it really does signal the dramatic tone of the story. That from an outside perspective, the initial reaction to seeing these larger than life characters, these superheroes, is not that they're heroes, but they're monsters and beings to be afraid of. And we see that terror in the general public. There's a consternation in the atmosphere in the book. Look at that. The Human Torch. It's incredible. And then all of a sudden, the Submariner makes his appearance. So this is after the Human Torch has broken out of his prison. He's reignited. He's confused, doesn't really know his direction in life, his place in the world. He can't, at this moment, control his powers. And so he's just as frightened as everybody else, it seems like, at first. And then we have the Submariner makes his appearance. We see him here. I'm not as familiar with the Submariner. The little that I know is that he's very similar to like an Aquaman. He lives underwater and he has powers that are close to like a Superman. So he can fly. He's super strong. He can breathe underwater. And at first, it seems like the Submariner is a villain, and the Human Torch takes the role of battling the Submariner. And we get these terrific fight scenes. And we're told from the street level view that they are so fast and so violent with flying around, being one part of the city and then being on the complete opposite end of the city, that even though there's calamities going on, they can't even register what's actually happening. They can't see the action because it's so fast. And at the moment, the Submariner is a hard character to understand because throughout the story he switches between being a villain that's wreaking havoc and then joining the side of the Human Torch. We have Captain America who makes his appearance, and we're shown through these news clippings. And the introduction of Captain America is totally different than the initial response that the Human Torch and the Submariner got, because it was clear which side of the team Captain America is on. He's an American, and he's fighting the Nazis. And so the public embraces him, and the Human Torch and the Submariner all join the same side, and the public now feels like we have a superhero team. Look at that. And then the Submariner switches sides again, and he starts wreaking havoc and causing feelings of terror and alarm. Look at this amazing scene. So there's like a bomb going off that the Submariner detonated, and we have this huge wall of a wave crashing into Manhattan. And then up here, we can see the Human Torch flying. Look at that. So they're battling it out. It's amazing action scenes. And that journalist that we were following has a revelation, comes to terms that these super beings are not a flash in the pan moment, but that are here to stay. And he needs to come to terms with his role and humanity's role and response to living in the same world as these superheroes. And early on in the book, he told his wife that he told his fiance that they need to hold off on the wedding because he doesn't feel like he can protect her, and a husband should be able to protect his wife. And she gives him the ring back, and leaves him. He gets her back, and when there's this big disaster looming over New York City, the journalist who wanted to go to Europe to fight the war is now in America, in New York City, being a war correspondent, documenting the actions of these superheroes. As a result, he loses an eye. We see him in the hospital room, but finally, he seems at peace with himself. He seems collected, as if now he knows what he's doing. And the Submariner um, is going to have some attack somewhere. And the end of book one is this incredible panel, but also kind of confusing. And I'll show it. So there's like a bomb site or missile silo or something, and we have all the superheroes flying in to fight the bad guys. Submariner's back on the right side of the team. We have Captain America, but we also have 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 other Human Torch beings. As you can see, we have someone up here that's on fire, someone here on fire, here on fire. So I honestly don't know what that is about. And I think this graphic novel is going to move through chronologically, introducing all of the Marvel characters and show how the world comes to grips with a world full of superheroes and supervillains, where catastrophes, huge, larger-than-life things, can just become a daily expectation, and that the public needs to rely on the good guys to keep them safe. And that's it. It's incredible. I'm not really sure where the story is going as a whole, and I'm also just confused with the origin story, because it's not what I thought it would be. I thought the Fantastic Four was the first superhero comic book from Marvel, but I don't know. That's what I'll say about part one of Marvels, written by Kurt Busiek and illustrated by Alex Ross. Our announcement videos, Steve and mine both, came out very late, so maybe you were able to get a copy, maybe you've already read it before. So if you have anything to talk about with Marvels, please let me know. So thank you for watching. Please leave a comment if you would like, and take care.